misunderstanding, I think, in the
Hey
public.
guys,
If it's done out in the open,
who's
it
ready
must be
to
honest.
race?
So if I'm corrupt,
I don't think
but I'm
I'm
public
ready to
about it,
race
it means that I
today.
can't quite be
Me
corrupt. It must be
either.
okay because I've been just
Me
upfront
too.
about it. And so this is
Yeah,
like the conundrum we
also
find ourselves in.
me.
That people who understand what the
Okay,
actual
let's jump out of this
guideposts are,
conclusion.
their hair is on fire. And then there's the kind of wide swath of the public that either doesn't get it, or 80% of the Republican Party, which actually adores
This
this
is
guy.
Yes, I
why
think that 80% of the Republican
I'm
Party,
not
they
racing.
have come to actually internalize the idea that the relationship between the president's interests and America's interests are necessarily an identity relationship. They are definitionally one and the same,
yeah.
and therefore what the president does is in pursuit of America, and if you oppose the president, you are essentially traitorous.
You know, what's so interesting about this particular moment is that Trump finds himself in a new kind of trouble because those around him were trying to protect him. Because they looked at the transfer.
Fine, I'll jump out because I'm tired.
His calls with leaders of China, Saudi Arabia, Russia, and they said, we've got to put this on a special
I'm making
server.
this
can never
video
see the
for
light of day." It was the
Setsuna,
fact that everyone around him recognized what he was doing was wrong and tried
It's
to
only
protect
for
him from it.
Setsuna.
That has signaled to the public there was something bad here.
Setsuna
Whereas when he
ran.
does it out there in the public, I think it's much harder for folks to differentiate. They hear the arguments from both sides that they have trouble figuring out where the truth lies. When you see everyone around the president understanding that what he's just done is a violation, that's crystal clear.
My name is 80 Robot ADHD because I've never taken an
And thanks to you all
ADHD.
for joining us this hour. Rachel has the night off, but
Sir, I found the criminals right there.
and he wouldn't publicly seek the help of foreign governments to aid with his political dirty work. On a day when we thought that might be the top story, we begin with even more breaking news on this
I am coming, you
Here's
slave.
the top of a new report from the New York Times from reporters Ken Vogel and Mike Schmidt. They report this, quote, 2 of President Trump's top envoys to Ukraine drafted a statement for the country's new president in August that would have committed Ukraine to pursuing investigations sought by Mr. Trump into his political rivals.
What do you want,
That's according to 3
slave?
people briefed on the effort.
Sir,
They continue,
sir.
quote, the drafting of
Why
the
are you
statement marks
so
new
black
evidence about Mr.
today?
Trump's fixation with Ukraine.
I always wear this. What are you talking about? Well, you always have 4 arms on. You always have 4 arms.
So, just backing up for a minute here.
I always have 4 arms. I'm the overlord, you idiot brat. Get out before I scold you to death. Yes, sir. Oh, yes, I can fly. Choom.
Had just put on hold.
Idiot
And Donald Trump
brat.
said to him on that call, quote, I would like you to do us a favor, though. He asked the Ukrainian president to help cast doubt
Oh,
on Russia's
is this a
responsibility for
camera?
attacking the 2016 U.S. election.
I would love
And
to
then he
slash
asked him
it
for help digging up
down.
dirt on Trump's potential political rival, Joe Biden. The White House put the notes from that
I
call on
can.
the secret server meant for highly classified covert protection
Yes,
but
I'm
now we know,
bald.
according
I
to the New
don't
York Times
care.
tonight, that Trump's top Ukraine diplomats then set about trying to get Ukraine's president to commit publicly.
You guys are
to doing Trump's
stinking
bidding. Here's
rotten.
more from that Times report. Quote, the
Huh,
statement
where's
was
that
drafted
golden
by Gordon
ninja?
Sondland, the U.S. ambassador to the EU, and Kurt Volker, then the State Department's envoy to Ukraine. This statement committing Ukraine to investigate
something.
conspiracy theories about
Oh.
Joe Biden and about Russia not having hacked the Democrats in 2016. The Times says it is, quote, unclear if it was delivered to the Ukrainian president, but no statement was released publicly under his name. They
Ching.
continue, the drafting of the statement was an effort to pacify Mr. Trump and Rudy Giuliani and normalize relations between the two countries as Ukraine faced continuing conflict with Russia. Mr. Sondland and Mr. Volker believe that Mr. Giuliani was, quote, poisoning Mr. Trump's mind about
My
Ukraine
eyes are
and eliciting a
burning.
public commitment from Mr. Zelensky to pursue the investigations would induce Mr. Trump to more fully support the new Ukrainian government. And as we said,
You know,
all
I
of
was
this
just
comes on a day when
using
President Trump
this machine
asked yet another
to make
country,
your
this time
eyes
China,
burn.
to investigate Joe Biden, erasing all doubt about whether he could or would or will happily collude with foreign powers in plain sight to boost his re-election prospects. But the idea that the president's mind is being poisoned against an allied country and that U.S. diplomats were scrambling around to try to contain the damage, it's a frightening prospect all on its own. Joining us now is one of the reporters who broke this story tonight. Mike Schmidt is a Washington correspondent with the New York Times. Take us through where this report fits into the rest of the fact pattern that we have now about, if you take the Rudy dossier that the State Department Inspector General turned over to Congress yesterday, you take this effort that conspiracy theory had filtered down.
You have to put all that aside. You have to look at this in the context of the July call. In July, the topic of these investigations is brought up by Trump on the call with Zelensky, the Ukrainian president. A month later, here you have two diplomats coming up with a statement that specifically says and commits the Ukrainian government to investigating the things that Donald Trump wants them to, the things that will be politically advantageous to him. And these diplomats are trying to get the Ukrainians to say it, to put this statement out. Because if they say it publicly, it's different than saying it privately on a call with the president. If they say it publicly, it locks them in to doing what they say they will do, to investigating the people that Trump wanted them to.
And what did these diplomats want? Why did they want to lock Zelensky in?
Well, that's the question. What it appears from our reporting is that they are trying to pacify Giuliani and Trump. They think that Giuliani has poisoned Trump on Ukraine, and they believe that this is getting in the way of the entire relationship between these two countries. And in order to fix that, they need to sort of get Giuliani and Trump to back off. So if the Ukrainians commit to this, if they commit to investigating it, then maybe they'll go away, and these diplomats will be able to do their job. We have no evidence that this was tied to the aid. This was simply just trying to get Trump to back off and allow the State Department to do its day-to-day work that he was trying to get in the way of.
Is there any evidence that Mike Pompeo or anybody else who was up the chain of command from these diplomats had any conversations about the aid?
I need some rice.
In our story tonight, we don't tie any of this to Mike Pompeo. It's just these two senior officials that were dedicated to dealing with Ukraine that were the folks who had worked on this statement and had passed it over to an intermediary for Zelensky to look at. The interesting thing is that the Ukrainians had the foresight to know this was a bad idea, and they decided not to do it because they didn't want to get more deeply involved in United States politics.
You used the word poisoning, and it literally jumps off the page.
Honey,
Whose assessment was it that Donald Trump's mind had been poisoned against the Ukrainians, and who did the poisoning?
Well, Volker and Sondland, these two senior State Department officials, knew what Giuliani was telling Trump, and they knew how angry Trump was getting with them. Trump was convinced that Ukraine was a corrupt country. He didn't want to do any dealings with them, and they believed this was being fed by Giuliani, who had all of this different information and dossiers that he was developing on what happened in Ukraine. So they were trying to get Giuliani to sort of stop doing that to Trump, to stop infecting his mind with these different things. And they thought by getting the Ukrainians to commit to it, maybe that Trump would be better.
Mike Schmidt, Washington correspondent for the New York Times. Thanks for your reporting and thanks for joining us tonight.
Home. What will home do? Will home just make me die? Will home just make me see the light?
Into that pressure campaign is unfolding quickly.
Kill alive again.
Reportedly drafted that statement for the Ukrainian president that we were just talking to Mike Schmidt about. Kurt Volker resigned last Friday night. And today, he was the first person interviewed as part of that impeachment inquiry. He was deposed on Capitol Hill today for 9.5 hours.
You know how
important not the only Trump administration official to be resigning under the harsh glare of the impeachment proceedings around this Ukraine matter. Trump Energy Secretary Rick Perry, who House investigators would very much like to talk to because Perry went and met with the Ukrainian president at least 3 times, said yesterday that he would willingly cooperate with the impeachment inquiry. But tonight, wouldn't you know it, Politico reports that Rick Perry's resigning next month. NBC News has not confirmed that reporting, and we of course cannot say for certain at any point why Perry's reportedly resigning. Joining us now is someone who might want to talk to Rick Perry, California Congressman Eric Swalwell. He sits on the Judiciary Committee and the Intelligence Committee, and he was at today's deposition of the former envoy to Ukraine, Kurt Volker. Congressman Swalwell, thanks for being with us. We now know from New York Times reporting tonight that Ambassador Volker was one of 2 diplomats who took this list of Trump's poisoned mind requests to the Ukrainians. Where do you see that fitting into the fact pattern emerging?
Good evening, Nicole. What we saw today was further evidence that there was a shadow shakedown underway, and it actually fits right in with what the whistleblower complaint alleged, which was that there was this ongoing scheme to get the Ukrainians to play ball with 2 asks that the President of the United States had. One, which was to exonerate Russia for their role in the 2016 election and interfering, and 2, investigate my upcoming 2020 potential opponent, Joe Biden. And that ongoing scheme went all the way up to that phone call and beyond. And so, I'm not going to comment on the reporting as it relates to Mr. Volker today, but again, that conduct by the president is leveraging U.S. tax dollars to benefit himself in a U.S. election. That's what's so improbable.
Is there anything you can say? You were in the 9.5-hour deposition today. Fox News and ABC are reporting on a series of encrypted messages that were shared. Is there anything you could tell us about those messages?
I can tell you that we have evidence that corroborates what the whistleblower said. We have additional witnesses that we now will want to hear from. But we also see that State Department officials from the very beginning were concerned about Rudy Giuliani's role with Ukraine, and that just as recently as a couple weeks ago, before the whistleblower complaint was made public, that one official had identified a concern about tying security assistance to the Ukrainians in exchange for helping Donald Trump's political campaign.
Congressman, there are so many parallels between Donald Trump's alleged conduct in the Russia investigation and Donald Trump's really sort of out in the open conduct as it pertains to asking the president of Ukraine to dirty up the Bidens. What is there left in the whistleblower complaint that Donald Trump hasn't already publicly confessed to?
We actually have a presidential confession to extortion. We have a job to give them a fair process. We're going to do
Sorry, guys.
interview other witnesses.
I was asking you stuff about your CV. It's not
Jesus, wow.
Reduce the number of witnesses that you have to talk to. We'll continue to talk to witnesses, receive evidence, hope that the president and his team cooperate.
Sorry about that, guys. My brother always does that when he plays video games. I still made this for Satsuma, so bye.